Go to profootballtalk.com right now and look to the left side under top stories, and you'll see this headline. Quinshawn Judkins could have tried to return to college and still could. Guy who wrote that story and who is the author of Big Shield, book that's going nuts right now, joins us on the fan hotline. He's Mr. Mike Florio. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, guys. How are you?
We are well. Good to have you back with us.
I would like to say I specifically wrote that story and dropped that headline just to stir things up in advance of my appearance, but I'm not quite so strategic.
Well, it sure feels that way, so congratulations. It worked. Explain the story. Judkins, for whatever reason, hasn't signed with the Browns. Is it NFL investigation? Is it contract not meeting his needs? Blah, blah, blah. What do you think it is, Mike?
I think the frontline reality for Judkins and the Browns is the fact that if he would show up, they'd probably put him on paid leave while they figure out what they're going to do about this personal conduct policy issue. Even though he's not going to be prosecuted, the league still does its own investigation. And if his alleged victim is willing to cooperate with the league, then he potentially ends up being suspended. It happened to Ezekiel Elliott some 7-8 years ago when he was never arrested. He was never even sued. He ended up being suspended 6 games by the NFL. There was litigation. There was ugliness. But the reality is the alleged victim cooperated extensively with the NFL, and ultimately the league believed her over the player. So as that plays out, however long it takes or short it takes, I think the Browns are delaying signing him because the first order of business is you got to put him on paid leave if you're going to bring him to camp. So I think that's why he hasn't signed. I doubt, although I don't know, that there are issues regarding the actual terms of the contract because everybody knows about this thing that's out there that could get him suspended. There's no uncertainty. There may be some minor language issue regarding that, but I think the big thing is if he shows up now, if he had shown up at any point during training camp, the NFL would have said, you're on paid leave. So why bother to even start down the road of signing the contract until they know how many games he's going to miss?
Is there any chance, I'm reading through the story, is there any chance he goes back to college then? This year?
The point is he could. It's an option, and it's an option that never existed before. I think that's the real message here, and it was spurred by the fact that there were 4 West Virginia players last week who got a court order preliminarily allowing them to have another year of eligibility. Now, this isn't about declaring for the draft, hiring an agent, not signing a contract, and trying to come back and play with existing eligibility. Judkins has that eligibility. The impediment would be the NCAA rules that say once you sign with an agent, once you accept benefits from the NFL by going to the scouting combine or whatever the case may be, going on team visits, now you're ineligible. Well, we have seen one case at a time how impotent, frankly, the NCAA rules are because they're antitrust violations. You've got 100-plus distinct businesses that come together under the umbrella of NCAA, and they create these rules that are aimed at rigging the system, at fixing the costs for labor. And one rule at a time, they've been struck down. If Judkins really wanted to go back and play college football, you start the process by sending a letter to the NCAA demanding that they abandon a rule that you believe is an antitrust violation. You give them a short time frame to respond. If they don't, you go to court. You seek a temporary restraining order. You seek a preliminary injunction. You get a ruling that he's allowed to go back and play, even if it's during this season. He could do it if he wanted to do it. It's an option, and I guess that's the point. Even if a guy didn't do it, even if Shedeur Sanders didn't decide once he got through 4 rounds of the draft to say, I'm just going to go back to Colorado next year, it's an option that wasn't there in the past. And one of these days, one of these players is going to take advantage of that option.
Wow.
Mike Florio joining us, Pro Football Talk. You mentioned Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, there's been way too much buzz here in Cleveland about Shedeur and all around the nation. What have you thought when you've heard that the Browns are trying to sabotage this guy?
Well, that part of it's ridiculous because all they had to do was not draft him. Now, the problem is by drafting him, they have invited a different kind of circus to town. It's kind of like Tebow mania. And Tebow became sort of radioactive because anybody who would have signed him would have ended up bringing onto the bandwagon the Tebow fans who are demanding that he plays. and we expect him to be the starter. And if he's not, it's a conspiracy. It's this, it's that. You don't like Christians. Whatever the arguments were that people used when Tim Tebow's career sputtered. So when you bring Shedeur Sanders to town, you bring all the Shedeur Sanders fans who are going to say he should be playing. That's the water's edge of analytics and reality. The Browns looked at the board when pick number 144 was on the clock, and they made an analytics-driven decision that had no regard for the human factors. And they added a fourth quarterback, technically a fifth quarterback, which has since grown to six and is now fortunately back down to five. They did that because they view the quarterbacks as assets. And the reality is, once that player shows up and he starts doing his thing, it creates potential complications for your effort to build a team. That's where they are right now. What are they going to do with these four quarterbacks or these five quarterbacks? Because the one thing that I guarantee you is going to happen at some point during the 2025 season, Deshaun Watson is going to show up with a piece of paper that says, I'm healthy and cleared to play.
Yep.
Deal with me.
Yep. Man, I believe that's coming. Another question, Mike. Do the Browns is it a headache for them? And do you think they might be regretting where they are in this thing? I think internally they can't care about the noise, but on the outside, this whole thing feels like a headache to me.
Well, look back to the slow clap and the faces of resignation after the Sanders pick was made. And we don't know who called the ball there. But, when Jimmy Haslam talked about it during training camp, he said they had multiple meetings that day about what they were going to do. There's no way, if the owner's involved in the meeting, he's not going to say or do something that would give some inkling as to what he wants. All he had to say was, hey, guys, why are we even talking about this? We have our quarterbacks. We have Joe Flacco. We have Kenny Pickett. We have Dillon Gabriel. Let's not play this game of buy low, sell high. We're trying to build a team here. We're trying to win football games. Let's not get cute about it. Let's get a player at a position where we have needs. We don't need a fourth quarterback. We don't need Shedeur Sanders. We don't need to even be thinking about getting cute. We need to be thinking about putting together a winning football team. So this is the problem with the owner being involved. And a lot of owners are involved, and they do it very discreetly. But when you're involved, your opinion is going to make its way to the surface. And I guarantee you this. If Jimmy Haslam had said what I just said, there's no way in hell they would have picked him at number 144.
Mike Florio joining us from Pro Football Talk. If you're the Browns, Mike, how do you navigate this season, knowing that you have two number one picks next year in a good quarterback draft? At least that's what everybody thinks it's going to be. While you're going with four, maybe five quarterbacks this year, which means you don't really have one, and you're trying to win football games, you think. I mean, this is a tough thing to navigate, is it not? Because it feels funny to me.
First thing I would do is trade Kenny Pickett by 4 o'clock Eastern tomorrow so I don't have to cut somebody who plays another position that I may never get back. Because that's what they're going to have to do. That's the thing about carrying 4 quarterbacks. You're going to have to give up somebody at some other position. So I would move on from Pickett now. He was the placeholder. He was the safety school that they acquired in a trade with the Eagles before they signed Flacco and before they drafted 2 guys. I would ride Flacco until I get the feeling that the playoffs aren't in the cards this year. And if they are, ride it out. Good problem to have. Let's go. Let's see if Flacco can recapture the magic from 2023. If it doesn't happen, I want to see what both Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders can do, because that's part of my evaluation for what I do with the 2 first-round picks that I have next year. Hell, they may not even have to use the Jaguars pick to get up to the position to get the top quarterback. They may earn it the old-fashioned way by stinking. So I would want to know as much as I can about the young guys I have. Once I know I'm not going to win this year, once I know I'm not going to make it to the playoffs this year, I would want to know as much as I can about the rookies so I can decide whether or not they could become the guy that stops the never-ending cascade of names on the back of that jersey. And that's more important than anything else. And this is a team that has consistently put the future in front of the present. You know, there were the factors they had back when Hugh Jackson was the coach. There were bonuses paid, and there was a grievance that was filed by Jackson over this, and some of this stuff came to light. Bonuses paid based upon salary cap money stockpiled from one year to the next, draft picks stockpiled from one year to the next. if you're thinking about the future, you need to be thinking about which of these two guys, if either, has a chance of being our guy. And if we don't believe that one or both of them has a chance to do it, we got to be ready next year to get whoever the top quarterback is coming out of this upcoming season of college football.
Let me throw this hypothetical at you. Let's just say the Browns say, you know what, you're right. Like, we need 3 quarterbacks. Forget this. What do you think Pickett's value is in the open market, and what do you think Sanders' value would be in the open market?
Well, for Pickett, it's going to be one of these low round swaps. Like, look at the Sam Howell thing. They got him for Dorian Thompson-Robinson in a 5th-round pick. And the Vikings did a 5th-round flip-flop for Sam Howell, and they sent Howell to the Eagles yesterday for a 5th-round pick and a 7th-round pick in exchange for Howell and a 6th. So it's going to be one of those things. Late round, you're taking $2-3 million in guaranteed money off the books also by taking Pickett, and there's value in that. So I think it would be something like that. It's not going to be anything significant. And as it relates to Sanders, one of the questions I've been raising, is there a team out there that was seriously thinking about taking him in round 3 or, thereabouts, saw him play against the Panthers and thought, you know what, we should have taken him, and we'd kind of like to have him. And maybe we'll send next year's 3rd-round pick to the Browns to get him. And then the Browns can declare victory and move on. They took a 5th-round pick this year, and they bumped it up to a 3rd-round pick next year. And that's why we did what we did. And now we're focused on being a non-dysfunctional football operation with, a starting basketball lineup of quarterbacks on our team.
Mike Florio joining us from Pro Football Talk. You have 3 guys in their 20s here at quarterback. You said Pickett in a trade. Is there one of these guys that you think more than any of the others, Mike, could perhaps answer the question, do the Browns have a quarterback for the next 3 to 5 years? Or do you think that guy's playing college football next year?
They love Dillon Gabriel. And Kevin Stefanski loves Dillon Gabriel. Dillon Gabriel, if he was 6'3", 6'4", he probably would have been a top 5 pick. So let's see what Dillon Gabriel can do. Let's get him out on the field. Let's see if he can be the guy. I think he's the one, far more than Shedeur Sanders, that needs to have that full evaluation as to whether or not he can be the guy. I think they believe in him. And, he's been a winner, and he's been a starter everywhere he's been. He's one of these guys that has a ton of college experience. Shedeur does too. But Dillon Gabriel's got that edge. He's got that attitude. He's got the moxie that we look for in quarterbacks. And I think that of the guys currently on the roster, and given what the Browns think of the guys currently on the roster, I think Gabriel is the most likely to be able to plant a flag at the position for, the 3, 4, 5 year foreseeable future.
And other than one pass that was returned for a touchdown, he's looked pretty solid during the preseason. Agreed?
Yeah, he has. And what does the preseason tell us? It doesn't tell us anything because there's no real game planning aimed at stopping the player. There's no film of what the player has done in the NFL in regular season games. So you can do the Bill Belichick game planning of let's take away this, let's take away that, let's force him to do things he doesn't want to do, let's not let him do the things he wants to do. All of that is unknown, and we don't find out until the guy plays. But they liked him enough to make him a top 100 pick in the draft. They used a 3rd-round pick on him. That's what makes the Shedeur Sanders decision all the more vexing. If they hadn't used that 3rd-round pick on Gabriel, then okay, fine, take a flyer on Sanders. But you undermined on his way through the door the guy that you supposedly really like. It just, I understand the analytics side of it, but there's a point where it is just stupid. And, it's the difference between book smart and street smart. The book smart move is let's take the guy. The street smart move is no, we can't do that. We got a football team to think about here.
Mike Florio joining us from Pro Football Talk. Go to Mike's website right now. Scroll down right below the Terry McLaurin Commanders agree to a 3-year extension. Right under the Bang It Here for the latest news and rumors, and you will see Big Shield, Mike's book that's out right now that's getting some pretty good reviews. Mike, how are sales? You enjoying it?
It's doing surprisingly well, and I'm not going to complain about that. I'm kind of amazed by it. But you know what? It's a football book. I've done some others that weren't football related. This is football gambling in the mob, and the whole idea is to create a cautionary tale of what can happen with inside information, because inside information is prevalent in the NFL. It relates to all sorts of things. Who's injured? Who's not injured? What's the game plan? Who's going to be getting the ball? And also during games, there are ways to potentially signal for micro betting, one play at a time. And as the technology improves, we'll all have on our TVs the ability to lock in wagers as simple as run versus pass every single play of a game. This book is set in the undefined, not too distant future where there's 20 regular season games and the real-time betting is everywhere and all the games are streaming and you can pull up as many camera options as you want to. You can spot the guy on the sideline who's giving you the signals as to whether or not the next play is a run or a pass. But it's not the NFL. I need to be clear. I don't want to get sued, although I have learned that there's a couple of glitches where I accidentally mentioned the NFL and I didn't catch it during any of my 20 proofreads. So it's still not about the NFL. And if they sue me, I'll come up with a way to explain how, even though NFL is mentioned twice in the book, it's really not about the NFL.
You can do that.
Yeah.
And put that law degree to work, right?
Part of me would like them to do something. I don't know if you saw the Billy Joel documentary. Excellent Billy Joel documentary.
Yeah, I've heard great things.
The song from the mid-'70s, late '70s, Only the Good Die Young, which was banned by the Catholic Church at multiple Catholic colleges and universities. He sent them a letter saying, will you please do that for the rest of my songs? Anytime we're told we can't have something, we want it. So I would love the NFL to send me a letter saying that you need to take your book out of circulation or else. That will drive up sales even higher.
Anybody going to get cut by tomorrow that's going to stun the NFL?
Probably not, because those guys are getting traded. Harrison Phillips would have been a stunner, defensive captain in Minnesota, run stuffer. He gets traded last week at one of these low-round pick swaps. He was going to get cut. Any trade that we've seen the last week, the guy was going to get cut anyway. So I think we kind of know who the people are who are in danger. But that's what makes it a surprise. We don't see it coming. The one thing that I'm intrigued by, and the Browns are just one example of it, but look at the Giants. They have 4 quarterbacks. What are they going to do with them? The Bills have a couple of veterans in Mitch Trubisky and Mike White. Are they going to keep both of them? And you have teams out there that may not be completely satisfied with their backup quarterback situation. The Raiders have an injury to Aiden O'Connell. They don't have a proven backup to Geno Smith. The Vikings have been playing quarterback shuffle the past few days. The Cowboys, they're not sure whether or not Joe Milton's the guy they can trust. So I think there's going to be some activity with some of these quarterbacks moving around. And the Browns are going to have an opportunity. If they want to move Pickett, I think they're going to have an opportunity to do it, and we'll see if they do.
Wow.
Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk. The book out, Big Shield. You can go to the website, get it, profootballtalk.com. Mike, as always, thank you, buddy.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Mike.
your time.
Great talking to you guys.